Hello, welcome to the Nimbo AWS test drive for TFS running on EC2 AWS instances. My name is Jonathan Dowdy, and I am a Cloud Solutions Architect here at Nimbo. Today, I'll be taking you through a brief demonstration of Team Foundation Server 2013, or TFS, running on AWS EC2 instances. So let's go ahead and get started. If you navigate to our AWS test drive page, Nimbo, which is actually nimbo.com/AWS-test-drive. You'll see a little bit of information about Nimbo itself, what we do, and then also all of the test drives that we currently have available. As you can see, we have some interesting ones like BizTalk Server 2013 test drive, which spools up an EC2 instance and then also has SQL Server installed plus Visual Studio installed. And then down below that, we have Microsoft SQL on AWS RDS test drive, which spools up an EC2 instance and then connects that to an instance or AWS RDS provisioned database. And then, of course, we have the AWS TFS test drive, which is the focus of today's demonstration. So let's go ahead and navigate over to the test drives page. In order to launch the test drive, just go ahead and click Enter on the Team Foundation Server 2013 page. Ordinarily, you'll see where the Stop button is. It will say Start your test drive. I've already started one for convenience sake so that I can take you through this demonstration today. And basically, all this will be is on the top left-hand side, you'll see a status bar, so it'll tell you it's launching, it's in progress, and it has completed. Below that, it'll give you the amount of time that you have to work with the environment, to play around and do whatever you'd like. To the right of that, you have your video, and then below that, to the right-hand side, I'll direct your attention, which is an important portion of this, which is the environment. It's a terminal-looking console type of window, which tells you information about the status and connection information for your EC2 instance related to this TFS test drive. So you'll notice that if I scroll up here, it tells me that my test drive creation was in progress, the EC2 instance creation was in progress, and then of course test drive and EC2 instance completed. Once it completes, it will give you a set of output instructions, letting you know that please allow 10 or 15 minutes for this to spool up, because what we're doing on the back end is actually creating an EC2 instance from an AMI that we've created with TFS installed and configured. And then below that, there's some basic connection information, your username and password to connect to the test drive. You can use the username and password to connect your local installation of Visual Studio to the TFS server up on the AWS cloud on the EC2 instance we've configured. Alternatively, you can just copy and paste a connection string, HTTP : / and then the name of the IP address and then : 8080 / TFS to access a web version of TFS. So I'll take you through both scenarios today. The first one being just connecting our Visual Studio to the TFS implementation up in the AWS cloud. So if I open up my Visual Studio, all I have to do is go up to File, scroll down to Source Control, click on Advanced, and Open from Server. And what I'll need to do is click on Servers. And I've already set one up here, but ordinarily what you would do is just click Add. You would paste the URL that was provided to you in the output console window, which is 54.173.177.31:8080 / TFS, and then click OK, and you're automatically connected to the server. I'll just do that right now. So what it's doing is it's reaching out to the server, it's connecting, and then it's grabbing some basic information about the information we have stored there. So as you can see, we have test drive and then test drive-git. Today we'll be working with test drive-git. So let's just close this out, and I will take you through the second scenario, which is copying and pasting that connection string into a web page, our browser window. And this is how we get connected. Or rather, this is what it looks like once we're connected. So I'm just going to click on Home to give you an idea of what the home page looks like. You have your AWS framework, which is our which is our work, which is a project that I've set up. You have some pinned items, you have team rooms and members and all sorts of things, everything you would normally expect from TFS. It's just configured on the AWS cloud running an EC2 instance. So let's just go ahead and get started. We'll go look at our backlog of work. I've gone ahead and created a sprint called AWS Framework. And just some basic information like EC2 framework. So we would have to assign this to someone who's going to set up Active Directory, is maybe some SQL, maybe a web front end or DMZ, something like that. Then there's also EC2 sizing. So maybe we have a list of servers provided from the client, and we want to right size those for AWS. Tag design, because of course it's very important you have a limited set of tags and you want to have tags or design your tag infrastructure so that it's impactful for the business as well as for the technology portion of your company. And then we have VPC design, VPC deployment, very important when setting up the framework for your AWS environment. And then we have our security design, security group deployment, subnet design, and then subnet deployment, right? So each of these items we would assign to someone. There might be a little bit of coding involved depending on how we're implementing this and depending on the scale and scope of the implementation. And then, of course, we can open up each one of these and we can modify this. So we'll right-click on the framework and we'll open it up. We'll assign this to TFS as our user. The state is new. We'll say approved. The effort will be, total, maybe 4 hours, something like that. A business value, you can define whatever you want for your business value. The area is going to remain the same. And then down below you have your description, storyboard, test cases, and tasks. And then on the right-hand side you have your acceptance criteria, history, links, and attachments. And all of these things, are all interactive. You can start adding storyboard information here. You can go into test cases, add a test case, whatever that might be. Create new tasks or subtasks of this particular task. And then, of course, you have your acceptance criteria, history of this, links maybe to websites or pages or to Git repository. And then attachments, maybe you have a Visio diagram of what you want your AWS framework to look like as an end result, or maybe you just have a basic diagram of what AD, SQL, and WebDMZ is going to look like in their particular subnets. So again, actually, let's just go ahead and cancel. Let me just save and close. So once we've updated that, we'll see approved, we'll see assigned to TFS, and then of course we want to add some more columns. We can add in basically everything that we went over. So there's acceptance criteria, there's activity, there's path, there's block, there's all these different fields that you can add in and manage how you normally would with a TFS implementation. And so that's that. Thank you for taking the time to spool up an AWS TFS test drive instance. It was my pleasure to walk you through a couple of different ways to connect to our TFS implementation inside of the AWS cloud.